Imagine walking onto your patio on the hottest day of summer and seeing something that looks more like a miniature orchard than a collection of pots. A lemon tree is covered with fragrant blossoms. A fig tree is carrying plump fruit. Pomegranates are developing on compact branches, and a guava tree is thriving despite the intense heat. You don't need acres of land to create this kind of garden. With the right fruit trees, the right containers, and a few smart summer growing techniques, even a small space can become incredibly productive. Welcome back to Daily Garden Gate, where we explore practical ways to grow more food, make better use of small spaces, and turn ordinary gardens into productive growing spaces. In today's video, we're looking at 15 dwarf, compact, or container-friendly fruit trees that can perform particularly well during hot summer conditions. These are excellent choices for patios, balconies, courtyards, rooftops, small backyards, and anywhere you want fresh fruit without planting a full-sized orchard. But before we get into the list, there's something every container gardener needs to understand. A heat-tolerant fruit tree is not automatically a heat-proof container plant. When a tree grows in the ground, its roots can travel deeper into cooler soil where moisture remains available for longer. A container is completely different. The limited amount of soil can heat up quickly and dry out much faster, especially during extreme summer weather. That's why choosing the right tree is only half the equation. The container, soil, watering routine, sunlight, and location all matter. During a serious heat wave, even a tree known for tolerating hot climates can struggle if its roots are sitting inside a small, dark container on scorching concrete. Throughout this video, I'll show you not only which trees to consider, but also how to give them a better chance of thriving when summer temperatures become intense. Number 15. Dwarf lemon tree. A dwarf lemon tree is one of the most rewarding fruit trees you can grow in a container. Compact varieties, including dwarf Meyer lemon, can remain much more manageable than full-size lemon trees, while still producing fragrant flowers and delicious fruit. Lemon trees love sunlight and warmth, making them an excellent choice for gardeners who experience long, hot summers. One of the biggest advantages of growing lemons in containers is control. You can decide exactly where the tree grows, manage the soil, move the plant when necessary, and keep its size under control through pruning. During extreme heat, however, don't simply place the lemon tree in the hottest location you can find and forget about it. Give it plenty of sunlight while protecting the container from excessive reflected heat, especially if it sits beside a concrete wall, metal surface, or dark pavement. Watering is also extremely important. Container lemons can dry out quickly during hot weather. Check the soil regularly, and when watering is necessary, water deeply enough to moisten the entire root zone. Make sure excess water can escape through drainage holes. The goal is consistent moisture, not permanently soggy soil. Number 14. Calamandan orange. If you want a compact citrus tree that is particularly well-suited to container growing, calamandan is worth considering. This attractive little citrus produces small orange-colored fruits and has glossy green foliage and wonderfully fragrant flowers. It can be both a productive fruit tree and an attractive ornamental plant. Calamandan appreciates warmth and sunlight, which makes it a natural candidate for hot weather gardens. But just like lemon trees, the roots need protection from extreme container temperatures. A light-colored container can absorb less heat than a very dark one, while positioning the pot away from surfaces that become extremely hot can help protect the root system. Another benefit is that calamandan can be kept relatively compact with sensible pruning. That makes harvesting easier and allows you to enjoy a productive citrus tree even if your garden has very limited space. Number 13. Fig tree. Few fruit trees are as naturally associated with hot, sunny conditions as the fig. Figs love warmth and sunlight, and many varieties can tolerate considerable summer heat once established. Even better, figs can be grown successfully in large containers, making them ideal for gardeners who want fresh fruit without planting a full-size tree directly into the ground. A container-grown fig can produce an impressive harvest when given enough root space and consistent care. During fruit development, water becomes particularly important. A tree carrying fruit has greater water demands, and repeated cycles of severe drying followed by heavy watering can place unnecessary stress on the plant. Choose a large, sturdy container and give the fig plenty of sunlight. Pruning can help keep the tree at a manageable size and make harvesting much easier. Instead of allowing the tree to become an enormous plant, you can train it into a compact form that fits beautifully into a small garden. Number 12. Pomegranate. Pomegranate is another excellent choice for gardeners dealing with hot summers. This beautiful fruit tree naturally appreciates warmth and sunlight, and its flowers can add incredible visual interest to a garden before the fruit begins developing. Compact pomegranate varieties can work especially well in containers. Their attractive appearance makes them useful even when they aren't producing fruit, but the real reward comes when those flowers turn into developing pomegranates. Pomegranates can tolerate relatively dry conditions once established, but a pot contains only a limited amount of soil, so moisture can disappear much faster than it would in the ground. During extreme heat, monitor the soil regularly and provide water when necessary. Don't confuse drought tolerance with a complete lack of water requirements. A healthy tree can handle heat much better when it isn't repeatedly pushed into severe water stress. Number 11. Dwarf mulberry. When people think about mulberry trees, they often imagine large trees spreading across an entire yard, but compact and dwarf forms can make mulberries much more practical for container gardening. A dwarf mulberry can provide sweet, colorful fruit while remaining easier to manage than a full-size tree. It also responds well to pruning, which means you can maintain a structure that keeps the fruit within easy reach. The key is giving the roots enough room. Don't put a growing mulberry into an extremely small decorative pot and expect it to remain miniature forever. Start with a suitable container, monitor root development, and move the tree into a larger pot when necessary. Because mulberries can grow vigorously, pruning becomes an important part of container management. Remove unwanted growth and maintain a shape that allows sunlight and air to reach the productive branches. Number 10. Dwarf guava. If you want something more tropical, guava deserves a place on your list. Guava naturally enjoys warmth, sunlight, and a long growing season. Compact varieties can be grown in containers, giving gardeners with limited space the opportunity to enjoy fresh tropical fruit. Guava can perform beautifully in hot weather, but once again, container conditions matter. The plant may enjoy hot air temperatures while its roots struggle if the container becomes excessively hot. During extreme summer conditions, consider giving the plant protection from the harshest afternoon heat if necessary, particularly when the container is surrounded by heat-reflecting surfaces. Strong morning sunlight can be excellent, while a little afternoon protection may prevent unnecessary stress during severe heat waves. Guava can also be pruned to encourage a bushier structure. This makes the plant easier to manage and harvest while preventing it from taking over a small patio. Number 8. Barbados cherry. Barbados cherry, also known as acerola, is a fantastic option for warm climate container gardeners. This compact fruiting plant produces small fruits and naturally appreciates warm conditions. It's especially interesting if you want something beyond the standard citrus trees found in many container gardens. Acerola can add variety to your miniature orchard while still fitting into a relatively small growing space. Give the plant plenty of light, use a well-draining growing medium, and pay close attention to moisture during hot weather. The container may dry much faster than expected, so regular observation is more reliable than simply following a rigid watering schedule. With proper care, Barbados cherry can become both an attractive ornamental plant and a productive source of fresh fruit. Number 8. Kumquat tree. Kumquats are another excellent citrus option for containers. Their compact growth makes them particularly convenient for patios and smaller gardens, while their colorful fruits make the tree attractive even before harvest time. Kumquats enjoy sunlight and warmth, but during an extreme heat wave, think beyond the temperature of the air. The container itself can become extremely hot. A dark pot sitting directly on concrete under the afternoon sun can create a difficult environment for the roots. If possible, position the container where it receives plenty of sunlight while avoiding excessive reflected heat. You can also use a larger container and protect the soil surface with a suitable mulch to slow moisture loss. With enough sunlight, appropriate watering, and good drainage, a dwarf kumquat tree can become one of the most rewarding small citrus trees in your container garden. Number 7. Dwarf Mandarin Orange. Mandarin oranges are another delicious option for container gardeners. Compact or grafted varieties can be much easier to manage than full-size trees, while still providing the possibility of homegrown fruit. Mandarins appreciate warmth and sunlight, but fruit production requires consistent care. When a tree is flowering or carrying fruit, its water and nutritional requirements can increase. Fertilization is especially important with container citrus because nutrients can gradually become depleted from the limited amount of soil. Use a fertilizer formulated for citrus and follow the directions carefully. More fertilizer does not automatically mean more fruit. Excessive fertilizer can create its own problems and may stress the roots. A healthy mandarin tree should have good foliage, strong new growth, and enough room for its roots to develop. With proper care, a dwarf mandarin can become a beautiful centerpiece for a sunny patio.
Number 6. Dwarf Orange Tree. A compact orange tree can bring the feeling of an orchard into a surprisingly small space. Imagine walking outside and picking an orange directly from a tree growing beside your home. For many container gardeners, that's exactly the experience that makes growing fruit so rewarding. Choose a variety specifically suited to compact growth or container culture and give the tree enough root space. Orange trees appreciate plenty of sunlight and warmth, but extreme summer conditions require careful watering. If leaves repeatedly wilt even though you're watering correctly, look at the environment around the container. Sometimes the problem isn't simply a lack of water. Heat reflecting from walls, pavement, or other surfaces can raise temperatures around the pot dramatically. Moving the container to a slightly more protected location during the worst part of the day can make a significant difference. Number 5. Dwarf Lime Tree. For gardeners who love fresh lime, a dwarf lime tree can be an incredibly useful addition to the container garden. Limes appreciate warm conditions and plenty of sunlight, making them particularly attractive for hot weather growers. A container-grown lime tree also has the advantage of being easy to position close to your kitchen, outdoor cooking area, or patio. Fresh limes can be harvested whenever you need them, instead of making another trip to the store. However, don't keep the tree permanently trapped in a container that has become too small. As the root system develops, the plant may eventually need more space. A larger container provides additional soil volume and can help maintain moisture during hot weather. Number 4. Dwarf Grapefruit. Grapefruit trees are naturally much larger than many patio plants, but compact or grafted varieties can make container growing possible. If you're interested in growing grapefruit in a pot, container size becomes especially important. Choose a strong and stable container because a mature tree can become surprisingly heavy. A lightweight pot may be difficult to manage once the tree, soil, and fruit are all combined. Give the tree plenty of sunlight and monitor soil moisture during hot periods. Because grapefruit trees can become larger than some of the other options on this list, pruning may also be necessary to maintain a practical shape. It may require more space than a kumquat or calamondin, but for gardeners with room, a container grapefruit can become a spectacular long-term project. Number 3. Dwarf Olive Tree. Olive trees are famous for their tolerance of heat, sunlight, and relatively dry conditions. They are naturally associated with warm Mediterranean climates and can make excellent container plants when compact varieties are selected. Olives are particularly interesting because they generally don't require the same moisture levels as many tropical fruit trees. But this does not mean you should ignore a young olive container during a heat wave. The soil inside a pot can dry rapidly, especially when the container is small. Even drought-tolerant trees benefit from appropriate watering during establishment and periods of extreme heat. Good drainage is essential. Olive trees do not appreciate sitting in constantly saturated soil, so make sure water can escape freely from the container. With sunlight, good drainage, sensible watering, and occasional pruning, a dwarf olive tree can become an attractive and long-lasting addition to a patio garden. Number 2. Jujube Tree. Jujube is one of the most interesting choices on today's list.
If your garden experiences extremely hot summers, Jujube deserves serious consideration because it is known for tolerating heat and relatively dry conditions. The fruit is sweet, and the tree can be trained and pruned to maintain a manageable structure. Look for compact or grafted varieties when possible if your goal is container growing. Jujube doesn't need to be treated like a delicate tropical plant. It generally appreciates plenty of sunlight and good drainage. But once again, container culture changes the equation. A young tree growing in a pot still has limited access to water and nutrients. Give the roots enough space, monitor the soil during prolonged heat, and prune when necessary. For gardeners dealing with challenging summer temperatures, Jujube can be one of the most promising fruit trees to experiment with.
Number 1. Compact fig tree. And coming in at number 1 is the fig tree. Figs are simply one of the most practical fruit trees for hot weather container gardening. They love sunshine, appreciate warmth, and many varieties can be successfully maintained in large containers. The reason figs are such a strong choice is their combination of heat tolerance, manageable growth, and delicious fruit. With proper pruning, you can keep a fig much smaller than a full-sized orchard tree while still enjoying a productive plant. Give your fig a large container, plenty of sunlight, good drainage, and consistent moisture during active growth. When temperatures become extreme, pay close attention to the container itself. The leaves may tolerate the heat, but the roots still need protection from excessive temperatures. A layer of suitable mulch across the soil surface can help reduce evaporation. Keeping the container away from intensely hot surfaces can also make a noticeable difference. And because figs can produce heavily once established, you'll eventually have the pleasure of harvesting fruit directly from a tree that started in a simple container. Now, if you're wondering which of these trees is best for your own garden, don't simply choose the tree with the fruit you like most. Start by looking at your growing conditions. How hot does your summer actually become? How many hours of sunlight does your growing space receive? Can you water consistently? How much room do you have for a large container? And can you protect the plant from extreme afternoon heat when necessary? For very hot environments, figs, pomegranates, jujubes, olives, Barbados cherries, and several citrus varieties can be particularly interesting choices. But remember that heat tolerance varies between species and varieties. Your local climate, humidity, wind, and water availability all influence performance. One of the biggest mistakes container gardeners make during summer is focusing on the leaves while completely ignoring the roots. Imagine a black plastic pot sitting on dark concrete under direct afternoon sunlight. The air may be hot, but the environment surrounding the roots can become even more stressful. That's why the container itself matters. Larger containers generally hold more soil and moisture than tiny pots. Light-colored containers can absorb less solar heat. Grouping containers can reduce exposed surfaces, and placing pots away from heat-reflecting walls can also make a noticeable difference. And you can also protect the soil surface with an appropriate organic mulch. Mulch helps slow evaporation and keeps the top layer of soil from drying as quickly. Just don't pile mulch directly against the trunk because the base of the tree needs good airflow. Watering should also be done intelligently. Don't simply splash a little water onto the surface and assume the tree is fully hydrated. When the soil has become dry enough to require watering, water thoroughly so moisture reaches the deeper root zone, then allow excess water to drain away. At the same time, avoid keeping the soil permanently saturated. Fruit tree roots need oxygen, and poor drainage can create serious problems even during hot weather. The goal is a healthy balance between moisture and drainage. Young trees deserve extra attention. A mature, established tree may tolerate conditions that would seriously stress a newly purchased sapling. If you planted or purchased one of these trees recently, monitor it more closely during its first summer. Look at the leaves, check the soil, observe new growth, and pay attention to how quickly the container dries. These simple observations can tell you much more about what your tree needs than following a fixed schedule.
Container size is also a major factor. A fruit tree is not a houseplant that can remain in the same tiny pot forever. As the root system develops, the tree may eventually need a larger container. Choose a sturdy pot that provides enough room for the roots and enough weight to keep the tree stable. This becomes particularly important for trees carrying fruit, because the additional weight can make a container easier to tip during strong winds. Pruning is also one of the most powerful tools available to container gardeners. You aren't necessarily trying to make the tree as small as possible. Instead, you're maintaining a healthy, manageable structure. Remove damaged or poorly positioned branches, control excessive growth, and maintain a shape that allows sunlight and air to reach the canopy. A compact tree is easier to water, feed, protect, and harvest. And don't become discouraged if your new fruit tree doesn't produce a massive harvest immediately. Many trees need time to establish their root systems before they begin producing heavily. The first priority should be healthy growth and a strong root system. Once the tree is established, fruit production can increase naturally. Patience is one of the most important ingredients in any fruit garden. The incredible thing about container gardening is that you can create a miniature orchard almost anywhere. Picture a lemon beside a lime, a fig near a pomegranate, a guava next to a calamondin, and a compact olive tree completing the collection. You don't need hundreds of square feet of farmland. You can build your own collection of fruit trees gradually, one container at a time. And there's something especially satisfying about harvesting fruit from a tree you've cared for yourself. Instead of simply purchasing fruit from a store, you get to watch the flowers appear, see the fruit develop, and finally pick it when it's ready. So if extreme summer heat has made you believe fruit trees are impossible, don't give up. Choose varieties suited for your climate, use sufficiently large containers, protect the roots from excessive heat, maintain consistent moisture, provide appropriate nutrition, and prune strategically. With the right combination of plants and care, a sunny patio can become a surprisingly productive miniature orchard. Now I want to know which tree you're choosing first. Would you grow a lemon, fig, pomegranate, guava, jujube, olive, lime, or one of the other trees from today's list? Tell me your choice in the comments and let us know what kind of summer temperatures you deal with where you live. And if this video gave you ideas for your own garden, make sure you subscribe to Daily Garden Gate and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next gardening video. We cover practical ways to grow more food, make the most of limited space, and build a garden that keeps giving season after season. Remember, you don't need a massive backyard to grow your own fruit. Sometimes all you need is a sunny corner, a strong container, the right variety, and the patience to let nature do its work. Thanks for watching Daily Garden Gate. Keep growing, keep experimenting, and keep turning every available space into an opportunity to grow something useful. Until next time, keep your garden thriving and keep opening the gate to a more productive harvest.